An interview coming up, y'all.
Yeah.
Action on Media.
Yeah.
Be sure to tune in. Got a secret.
We on? And shit.
Video on.
Yo. Man, MMOA.
Transform.
Bumblebee and Starscream. I had an electric football field with a football team. And if you had that football field, sometimes you got ticked. Because it was always that one man. All he did was this.
I don't think we on IG yet. I don't think we on IG.
Have an IG
So yeah, just Facebook Live, but you can say Action One Media Group on Facebook Live. I'm finna tell you.
And in that instant, my heart began to break. What about jump ropes, jacks,
We launching on August 12th.
We got something. Went wrong, we shot our children straight to hell. Now, either we're not aware or either we don't care. I'm waiting for Barbie to come out with more people to pick a button.
Ooh, this is good.
Or maybe some unequal Barbie. She's from the ghetto and she can't read. Or maybe out of the closet Ken who conveniently comes with Steve.
Yeah.
Or maybe MTV Barbie and BET Barbie. Her booty cheeks are exposed. She comes with a mixed idea of your favorite platinum artist and her own video mix in the wardrobe. Man, I saw a toy store closed and it threw me for a loop because innocence not appealing anymore and sexiness is cute. He can't be a kid and focus on school because he focuses on the cream. How to get a big body on 24 so he can grind, shine, and bling. She can't be a little girl anymore. I saw a little girl and a grown man making a flip and that little girl knew more tricks than the grown woman that I'm with.
Dragon energy.
Oh, no, I'm going to have to let this child on. We ain't going to finish the point.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
We're not going to finish the point. You know what I'm saying? Okay.
So you know the dragon energy is real.
I have tamed it, let's say.
All right.
Dragon energy.
Dragon energy.
Action One. Inspire and act. You tuned into the all-new Action One Network. Turn up your volume.
Lighters in the sky look like a million fireflies. Say we saw overcome.
It's actually, man, this is the old song, man.
Freedom down.
I be playing this song. But yeah, it's me, Sammy.
I'm like, why
Yeah, I be playing that one.
Give us freedom down.
Glory days, man. In the video. Come in after we played the first verse after the second. Yeah. And Facebook, I got the rights to this. This is my song. While I'm on it. What up, Sammy?
Devils in the blessings, mind over matter, rebels in the lessons, faith in the religion, priest in the confessions. We were never slapped and not just say you keep a step. I used to go love, looking for compression. Congress obsessed with the recession. God is oppression and it's met by our aggression. Giving me impression, our profession is gaining worldly possession. Obsession with regression like we were never professors. I'm a nutty, cause all the lightest into the sky, just so you can see the truth. This ain't the time for discretion. They keeping it repossessing like you can never possess it. I'm telling you,
We're gonna give him an in-studio performance, man.
I'm impressed with the joy.
What up, Sammy?
The lightest in the sky.
Make these people asking why. What's up?
Lighters in the sky look like a million fireflies. Say we saw
Yeah, man. But gotta check out these bars. Scoopity scoop. Scoopity scoop. Alright, hold up, man. Here I go. No justice, no peace. Till my people free. Gotta break the mental bondage caused by slavery. Yeah, they gave us Jim Crow. Not a prison system if that don't work. Then they got a Willie Lynch and waking up every day trying to be the change. Lighten up my chakras on another astral plane. Gotta visit metaphysics if you really want to get it. Then you really can hit it what your spirit can exhibit. Gotta take you back to Kemet, 600 BC. Since then, undersea. Now my people can't breathe. Gotta know history. Stop chasing wealth. All the money means nothing with no knowledge of self. Ignorance is bliss to you coughing the blood. Police justify murder by calling us thugs. Turn off the TV. Learn the truth about politics, cause the media is a foreign branch of government. Yeah.
That's right.
Well, hot up in here. Yeah. Friday.
I'm back, baby.
What up, Ron? Uh-oh.
Give us freedom or give us death. Awaken this generation, cause the last few slept. Revolution's the resolution, but it's cricket constitution and institutions get paralyzed like you believe in them euthanized. Treacherous
Tuned in to the all new action.
Are you alive? They telling you Cooper's live, claiming that he was crucified. He will run out to the genocide. He really tell to whom he died.
Yeah. Got the jam session going.
Master was a Christian. Believe him if you
Oh,
want.
I'm gonna stay true to this mission. You heard it, cattle follow religion straight to your lynching. Holler on one I'm bear witness for whoever in their feelings. I don't blame you if you Christian. You bred to follow the culture shit. I'm bred to be a king. You can have them fairy tales on your chosen will reign supreme. I'm free. Yeah, we getting freedom up in here. Yeah. That's how we get started, man. I think I need to start off every show like that with some bars, man. You gotta start with some bars. Hey, man, what's good, people? You know what I'm saying? Everybody checking us out, A1 Live. Everybody on the internet. Everybody out there on Facebook Live. Whatever devices you checking us in on, man. And we appreciate y'all for being with us today. You know, I always keep, you know what I'm saying, some good friends close to me. And my good friends always come and see me. You know, we just want to make sure that y'all checking us out over at weareA1.com. Go check out the website. Go subscribe. You know, give us your information so that, you know, we can keep you up to date with the process. Well, you know what I'm saying? I know, right? It's hot up in here. You know what I'm saying? Like I say, man, we need for y'all to sponsor us so y'all can get us some AC. You know what I'm saying? Get us some, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Fund the revolution, you know what I'm saying? To tie into what we talking about today, man. You know, every day I always wake up, you know what I'm saying? You say, I always say expect the unexpected. And that's really how I go throughout my day. And, you know, people be like, well, you know, you're so calm or whatever. It's because I wake up expecting the unexpected. You know, I expected, you know what I'm saying, today to have a, you know what I'm saying, a special guest host. But due to circumstances, you know what I'm saying, she could turn into the show. You know, this sister, you know, she's no stranger to the A1 family, you know what I'm saying? You can find her on YouTube. You can find her on Melanated and Illuminated. You can find her on Facebook under the Blackest Truth. I got the one and only Neith Knight with me. What's good, sister?
Nothing much. Yes, TBT, the Blackest Truth. That is where you can find me on YouTube and Facebook and Melanated Illuminated Minds. Amazing platform where it's people like myself and crazy other platforms. A lot of Black entrepreneurs doing our thing and just putting our voice out there. And I know it's just going to grow into something major. So I'm happy to be here. Thank y'all.
Yeah. You know, it grew into this new Action One Media Group, you know what I'm saying, that we're building here. And, you know, it's really just following the path of Kuja Chakalia. You know what I'm saying? Us defining ourselves, naming ourselves, and speaking for ourselves. You know, I think that the days of crying about what they not giving us are done. You know, even though, you know, we know that there are still systematic barriers that we face, but, you know, on a certain level, there are certain things that we can do to organize in order to give our message to the people. You know, because I fully believe that the propaganda is real. And so, you know, there has to be a certain amount of poor righteous teachers, you know what I'm saying, out feeding and consuming the public. You know what I'm saying? So, man, Sister Neith, man, it's been a little minute, you know, a lot of people, you know, if y'all just joining us, if y'all just joining on, Sister Neith was actually on one of our inaugural episodes, you know what I'm saying, that we had, man. What you been on, you know what I'm saying, since the last time?
Yeah, honestly, I've been focusing 100% in finishing up school this December. I'll be finishing up with my biology degree, so I'm so excited about that. Okay. You know, a lot of times, even when we be talking about European education and how it really doesn't mean anything, when Black people then see you, they're kind of like, well, you ain't got no degree. Right. And it's just kind of like, what I just thought she said it didn't matter. But still, if you know, you can't be talking about this and you know, you're not taught. So really excited about that. And also just like my business, you know, Morietta and Texas Designs is.
Yeah. Shout that out. Shout that out, man. Let the people know. You know what I'm saying?
I am the creator and owner, designer of Morietta and Texas Designs, MNT Designs for short. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, as well as website dropping actually by the end of this month. So Morietta and Texas Design clothing, art, perishables, chocolate, strawberries, customized gifts, smoke boxes. You know how Black folks do it.
Yeah.
You know how we do.
Hey, for sure.
It's a total one-stop shop, and I'm excited about it. That's really what I've been doing full time. It's like fashion shows this week. I recently did Anything Fest this past weekend at Jones Plaza, which was a really successful event. I'm really thankful for that. And just, you know, taking it a step at a time.
Right. Most stuff. When you gonna make some stuff for, you know what I'm saying? That's
yes, I'm gonna make some righteous stuff for the men, the brothers, the ladies line. We're about to complete it all. I'm about to add some last things like purses, thinking about adding shoes, and then I probably debut the male line next year for sure.
Okay, yeah, man, I rock it, man. As long as my belly button ain't showing.
Yeah. You know, I do like to have a midriff showing for the ladies. I mean, just because we,
I feel you.
Just because we paying Africans,
so you're okay with a little abdomen as long as it's not a little belly button. I just want to make sure.
It's nothing wrong with being a little bit cute. Going to the Marcus Garden Parade.
You talk about me. You talk about me. Oh, no. Hey, look. I say it over and over again. I don't want no smoke with no woman about what y'all wear.
Exactly.
Hey, I believe that I can't, you know what I'm saying, we keeping it clean, but I believe real dudes won't talk about that, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, you got your preferences and everything else like that, but what she should be wearing, what she hair, all that stuff, I think that's some down low stuff, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
You got some inner demons if that's what you own all the time, how she should be wearing her hair and talking about women's clothes.
You don't like that?
Nah, I don't like that, you know what I'm saying? Cheap keep, that's that stuff I don't like, you know what I'm saying? But Joy trying to get me, man. You know, man. I ain't with the Cowboys. You know, I ain't no right back.
I can do. Okay, I'm gonna back off. Just because you said cowgirl, we're gonna be okay.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Boycott the NFL.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Anyway,
and Starbucks, like,
oh well.
The fact that you still have so many Black people drinking Starbucks.
I didn't drink it in the first place.
Like, I mean, yeah, I can't spend $32.76 on the tall coffee. You know, I can only buy that 2 times, you know, every year. But you know, you can only buy Starbucks really like twice a year. I can't splurge on this damn Folgers shit. If I'm gonna get some coffee, I'm about to get some Folgers. But
I stopped at the gas station.
Right, community coffee. Do you hear me? Like it's really so disappointing, the time span, like the attention span of the frustration that we feel. It's like Drake said it in one of his songs, poor Drake. Rest in peace, Drake. Rest in peace, Drake.
Anybody got some makeup?
You got a light skin, homie, check on me.
Black out a little face here. You know what I'm saying?
Drake said he's doing a $5 million lawsuit. Like, that's how we're gonna address that.
Oh wow. Okay.
Well, that ain't.
Okay, anyway.
That's That's what Drake said.
That ain't some light skin stuff.
I mean, somebody said this why it was only 3 light-skinned people in Wakanda. Because of Drake behavior right here.
Oh, man. Y'all know we know y'all.
Yeah. I mean, we all black. And we all got to fight for evolution together.
Facts. But yeah, man, you talking about our short attention span. As it relates to, yeah. Well, I think it's kind of, it's based on the fact I think a lot of it has to do with us not having our own media platforms, and us not really controlling the flow of the information, because we look to so many different sources for information. These sources consistently drive the narrative of the conversation amongst the collective, you know what I'm saying, of the 85, you know what I'm saying, that's, just the way it goes. And so, that's why I try to find ways to dive within the context of the conversation while keeping some of the same principles of, no matter what this conversation is, how does it tie back to organizing?
Yeah.
Versus just being caught up, because all these conversations, it's funny on how no matter what the subject is, it seems like it comes down to black men and black women. Whatever it is, we end up on different sides of the conversation, and we spend a lot of time going at each other. Is that something you see too, man?
Yeah, I mean, not even just the black man and the black woman. Like, no matter where you go, you're gonna see black folks arguing about something. Like, that's all facts. Like, no matter where you go, literally, I'm on my way here, and I'm telling a homegirl about about my clothing line, which is kind of like what's considered like Western African mix. Even though we were born in America, a lot of the rest of the world refers to us as the West.
Right.
So, when you're talking to some people that live in the continent of Africa, they'll be like, oh, you want clothes that are more Western. And that's their way of saying more American, more Americanized. So, I got my clothing line, and it's like a mixture of African fabric, Western fabric. Like, I fuse it because I feel like...
That's what we are.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly who I am.
That don't describe...
Exactly. My clothing line
America.
is mixed African, with the Westernized, like... So, a lot of observation was that I was getting kind of like dry shoulders from some that I would consider wouldn't dry shoulder the situation. But from their aspect of it, it's like, how can a young woman who was born in America, not even African, have a African clothing line and be rocking our clothes, So even if we're not talking about black men and black women being at odds, no matter where you go, it's always an argument that's being held up by black folks that essentially takes our attention off of building, organizing, destroying white supremacy, which I'm always going to talk about.
Man, shout out Sister Effie, you know what I'm saying? Checking us out, you know what I'm saying, on Facebook Live, you know what I'm saying? Big Sarge, what up, you know what I'm saying, everybody, you know what I'm saying, Black is True, you know what I'm saying, we in the building. Been a lot going on this week. I'm a night owl, so, I'm always up. And, I was up watching the Trump and Kim Jong-un. Did you get to check that out?
No, I didn't get to check out all of it. We kind of talked about Donald Trump. We got to talk about Donald Trump. I mean, I saw the headlines of it, of them meeting and having a little sit down, but and this might be a little bit of maybe my tunnel vision. This may be a part of my tunnel vision. Before the show started, I told you, like, when it comes down to Donald Trump, world powers, what's going on in Syria, Israel, all of it is obviously relevant. And staying engaged is something that is important. And that's what I admire about you, brother. Like, you always gonna stay engaged, know what's going on. Just on a mass level, I never get too preoccupied with Donald Trump or anything that he says. Like, I don't even get on Twitter, let alone read his tweets, just because again, it's always something to distract the black masses away from doing the real work. Everybody's upset at Dr. Umar Johnson for not starting a school, but I'm sorry. Has anybody purchased any land? I'm sorry. Do we have 100 acres
Hey, boy, crucified.
in Texas, Idaho, Nevada? I mean, can I get California? Where?
Can I get
New York? I mean, Florida. So I mean, nevertheless, not even just shouting out the brother or calling him out. That's not my point of bringing up that topic. Right. It's to say that Donald Trump and all of these things are important. However, not more important than organizing.
Organize. You know what I'm saying? Organize your people like conditions will.
Oh my gosh! I admire that brother probably more in this season of my life than ever.
It's facts.
Because that one word is just comprises so much.
But Brother Kwame.
Kwame
Ture, shout out to the ancestor. He was there with us.
Shout out to the Almighty.
Yeah. But no, that's real, and say that, and that's the you know what I'm saying, definitely the way that I feel as it relates to not only politics, but like you said, for me, I believe Brother Robert Muhammad said it best. We have no permanent friends. We have no permanent. We have no permanent enemies. We have no permanent allies. We only have permanent interests. Mm-hmm. And so, my interest in the liberation and the salvation of the Black nation, you know what I'm saying, not only here in America, but throughout the diaspora, that doesn't change based on the president. Mm-hmm. Now, with that being said, based on who's in office, does change the way that we need to strategize. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Because you can't strategize the same way with every force. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you think about it, you know what I'm saying? We just had the Western Conference Finals and you know what I'm saying, the NBA and Golden State, you know what I'm saying, they won, and Cleveland, but they both went through their journeys in order to reach the finals. And every team that they played was different. You know what I'm saying? Even though they were all NBA teams, they all had great athletes. Every team, every opponent is different. And so I think that one of the issues that we face is we're continuously using outdated strategies, you know what I'm saying, against updated, you know what I'm saying, obstacles, you know what I'm saying, and they're steady organizing, they're steady building, steady maneuvering, and we're still kind of going with some of the same old tactics. And so, that's what it's like, you got to engage in order to, you know what I'm saying, shock that thought, because, and it's funny because when people believe that because you're the one that may be starting the conversation, you're the one with the answer. Like I say it all the time, I know I don't have the answer. You know what I'm saying? But I know if I can ask the question right, I can find the answer from all these different, you know what I'm saying, talent and personalities and wisdom, you know what I'm saying, that I know. And so the assumption shouldn't be the one asking the question already knows the answer. You know what I'm saying? It's like
you're seeking.
I'm seeking. Man, just like everybody else.
Okay.
But one thing that it keeps coming back around to as it relates to this movement, this revolution or whatever you want to call it, economics keeps coming back down to economics, because economics is the only way that you're going to grab access to resources, because it's not about getting money to hoard money. It's this currency gives you access to the resources, and the resources is the real wealth. And that's the mind trick that they played on us. And they convinced us that because Africa and other places around the world are devoid of currency, they're poor. Mm-hmm. But they're the ones with all the resources. And so now they're taking the resources and giving them this artificial currency that fluctuates.
It's nothing.
Right, it's nothing. But it's really, you know what I'm saying, the people, I mean, even over here in America, you know what I'm saying, they buying up the land they got the barter on it. You know what I'm saying? The land that's right for agriculture. You know what I'm saying? Not just the fat bank account. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But that's just my little tangent. But it really comes back down to the economics. So let me ask you, Sister Neith. We've been in America, you know what I'm saying, for, a while. And of course, we know that we face hurdles and barriers, you know what I'm saying, along the way. And we've come up with a variety of different strategies to defeat our enemies. But why do you think, or what has been the hard part about getting on that economics vibe, or, you know what I'm saying, that collection unity? Because, you know, we always talk about us getting along, you know what I'm saying, us being able to talk and not argue, men and women, and, you know, before, you know, before we get into the break. But why do you think, you know, we've had a hard time grasping that economics?
Yeah, well, the first thing that comes to mind is just because there is no true, like, instrumental learning of economics. Like, think about it. Our babies, when they're in their diapers, we're already kind of like recording them when they get the nay-nay down. Like, encouraging the fact that they caught along with the vibe, with the trend. You know, the minute that we discovered that our son can run fast, oh, now we have an idea, we have a thought. And from that point forward, we train that child in that. So a large part of the reason why Black people and our just condition with economics is so poor is because there's never been an instrumental time where we've really taken economics as something that we pride ourselves in. And I can refer to a European that I used to work with, a white manager I used to have. Cool dude. Cool. I mean, literally, we probably talk so much, our supervisor would have to call us on the phone and be like, you go there and you get on the register, because we'd be talking all day. And he would tell me, like, yeah, back when I was young, my dad would, every Sunday we would go out to eat, and he showed me how much money he made that week. And, you know, he said we sit down at the table and he'd lay out everything that he did. Like, and this was a weekly staple. Like, so, you know, our weekly staples is Sunday dinner. We know after church Sunday, the link up is going to be something, you know, exactly. Exactly. Or we know Friday night, you know, we hitting chachos after work, or Saturday there's a move that's going to be happening. And that is a staple. So because economics is not a staple, it's not something that we know about. And to be quite frank, most Black folks won't tell you that they don't know how to save. Most Black folks will not tell you that when it comes down to economics, I know that I want it, but I can't even tell you the strategy and how to get it. Like, and I'm learning throughout my life day to day. Like, I'm reading books in my 20s and 30s about it. Most Black folks won't be able to tell you that. And that's just the reality of what we're dealing with. And I think, you know, white supremacy does intentional for that. You know, keep Black folks in the dark on how to make money, but keep them very, very influenced to spend it. Keep them very, like, you know, I told you doing this Henny Thing Fest was really cool. But when I was thinking about it, I'm like, first of all, Hennessy is a cognac made in France. So definitely made by Europeans, you know, in Europe. But I just thought to myself, look at all of this publicity you're giving Hennessy. Like, son, to do an entire festival over someone else's product and have thousands of people show up. You know, literally make thousands of dollars, put all of this energy into another man's brand. And not only another man's brand, the very people who make all the money, own all the resources, print all the money, steal all the resources, lie in the books, make all the media, like everything, like
drug dealers buy Jordan, crackheads buy crack,
and a white man get paid out.
All of that.
But I ain't even gonna add those down.
Come on, Dragon Energy.
So, you know, that's really what it comes down to. White supremacy is, you know, unfortunately, it's like my dad always say, it's not our fault, but it is our problem. It ain't our fault that we don't know nothing about economics, or we weren't taught in, like, our white counterparts, our Asian counterparts. It ain't even fair that, you know, we just was born with the short end of the stick. We was born on the wrong side of history. If you would have caught us in, you know, like 7,000 BC, 10,000 BC, you know, we might actually been in a different play field. But just the area in which we've been born in history, it's not really our fault, but it is our problem to reconstruct.
Yeah, we're finna get ready. You're tuned into the A1 Live on all new Action One Media Group. Check us out at weareA1.com. It's your brother Atum Ra. We're finna go on and take a little break real quick, get into some commercials. You know what I'm saying? Joy finna bring us in. We here with your sister Neith Knight. Neith Knight. Let's get it.
No pressure, brother.
No pressure. No pressure.
No pressure.
Dragon energy.
Dragon energy.
Scoopity poo. Oh.
I'm so hungry, y'all.
Why everybody hungry? Everybody trying to get to the extent. Every time, like I'm trying to tell you.
Choose to do ink. My name is Dozie O'Harry, the founder/CEO of Choose to Do Ink. Change your mindset, change your outcome. So I can make that change. Use Choose to Do Ink. Call us at 713-291-6141. 713-291-6141. Choose to do.
Let's get my drop. I'll get a drop beat. That's right, man. Somebody said fighting amongst ourselves is a tool for distraction. So yeah, what else you got going today? I said, what else you got going today? Yeah, we're gonna come back and lead into that.
What you want me to play instead of the freestyle? Or do you want me to throw your clip in there again? Or you want me to
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine.
Before I date anyone else in 2018, I need a $200 non-refundable time wasted fee just in case you plan. $200.
People say take it to the bank.
Let me say you know.
Taking it to the bank.
We on live, so I ain't gonna be petty. Y'all know.
Ask them what they feel about that. How do people feel about somebody taking it to the bank for they even see? Like that's already a given answer.
Yeah, that's already a given answer, bro.
That's that real given. We already have an answer.
Brother, if you're gonna ride on the Beltway, gotta pay the toll.
Oh, wow.
Ride is playing. You know. Nah, it is, man. Hey, man, shit, my pop told me that a long time ago, man. Hey, you gotta pay the cost if you want to be the boss, man. You can't say you want to be the boss.
Oh, you know what it is? You hooked it into these.
I hooked into this one over here, but I guess that one is hooked into that one.
Mm-hmm.
It went out.
No, Facebook. Can't play that live on Facebook.
Oh.
I didn't know. I didn't realize. Okay. What I do is just fade back in and play a little bit.
Wait, you turn the... You say you turn the power off?
Yeah, that's how we cut the speaker off real quick. I didn't have to.
I got you.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Was
okay.
You like?
I got it. See, man. Hey, man, I'm here for the nigga shit.
Okay,
Not
really. Hey, man, we just literally. It's like literally like.
No,
nobody
Facebook. I always want to say somebody steal the music, man. We got permission. Melanated Men of Action.
This West Park and what?
59.
Mm-hmm. Closest other street, West Park 59. Yeah.
After we done, Neith, we gonna talk.
Okay.
Exactly.
Cool.
A1.com. Check us out.
One of my friends selling food plates on Instagram. I just asked, we still got one?
Action what? Inspired that.
Yo, we are back, and this is A1 Live. We are bringing you back in for a little talk on Black economics and the Black situation that is happening right now. It has been happening. Don't get me started. Okay. We had a little conversation earlier where we had a discussion on, and we used Kanye because, you know, Kanye kind of that person right now that's like the, you know, you just throw him out there. He already threw himself under the bus, so the rest of us might as well gonna step on him a little bit.
Got that dragon.
You know what I'm saying?
Don't on the dragon.
That's not no dragon. Baby, don't put that on the dragon. Okay, so then I'm just saying, like, no. So now we brought up Kanye, but it was just as an ode to his throwback. Like, hey, the old Kanye was talking about some things that are actually relevant. Actually, he's talking about things now as Yeezy. He's just a little crazy, but we're not going to go there. No more Kanye. And it brought up a discussion about blacks and degrees and how this has been the new push, blacks and education. Now, education is something that's important. It's been what we've been talking about. But the type of education that we are hiding behind is not making us practically move forward.
Exactly.
So when we were talking about Black economics, well, first of all, I had to get quiet because I get quiet when I really love something. That's what I studied, and so this is gonna be weird. But the thing about it is, learning something in school, especially in the education system that we have right now, is an indoctrination process. The first thing you're gonna learn is how to do somebody else's system of economics, not one that's beneficial to you. And I'm gonna tell you right now, just the basics of the U.S. economics removes people as a resource and puts them as a liability. So people are liabilities, which means that it's easier for you to cut them out of the process and get rid of them to make your money than it is to bring them in. So I'm throwing all that out there to say this. Why, if it is more economically advantageous for companies and institutions to remove people because they're liabilities, would they educate you to help them do anything? You can't they're not going to educate you to do anything except work for who? Them. And even if they're educating you to work for them, it's only so much because they don't want you to be able to come into a space, peep what they're doing, and then take it to grow yourself later. So the education that we actually are getting is simply to train us to be used. And when we keep on using me until you use me up, it's only so much use you can have before you trash. And that's a fact. And so what I'm saying is, in the short run, as African Americans, as Black people, the only thing that we can do to move forward is understand that we cannot look to other people to give us our money. We cannot look to other people to give us our resources, and we cannot look to other people to even give us anything. Because the only reason they give us anything is so that we can then reinvest it back into them, which brings us back to the discussion we were having earlier, where you have a group of people, and we were talking about, I'm not going to make the name, Bleeps and Bleeps, the festival you put on.
You got to pay us.
You gave them a lot of promo.
Yeah.
So
send us a check.
Okay. So the festival that was happening in Jones Plaza, right? We then can only make money how? By taking someone else's stuff. It's designed that way. The only reason they have employees is so they have someone who has the resources to buy their product, so that they have the resources. And so until we start making our own and get into a creative mentality where we no longer look to what's around us, but we look within ourselves to bring what we have out, because we have God-given spiritual power and we have God-given spiritual creativity because of that, then we will never move forward. But we can do that now, and I think that right now, A1 Live, action, we here. Like, there is so much explosion. my sister here has, I mean, she got like, I know you have your main company, the design, but you have a lot of different things going on. And so until we move into a space where we're no longer scared that we're going to step on someone's toes, and we start moving out into our own space and creating these own places for ourselves, we're going to get stuck. Don't get stuck.
Yeah. Man, we need the organ playing with Jerky talking.
I'm not about to play with y'all. I'm gonna go. Just read. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's been made for us.
Yeah, and you had read a pretty enlightening passage, while we were off air. And we definitely need to let the people know about that book. But as you were reading it, it made me think about as I was reading the forward. I believe it was in the forward for the miseducation of the Negro, and how back in the early 1900s, they were saying a lot of the similar things, and see the issue isn't necessarily, at least what they were alluding to, and I'm paraphrasing, of course, but the issue that they were alluding to was it's not an issue with people actually going out and getting educated.
No, the
issue was we still do have so many people that go and get educated and they go use their talents and don't give it back to the people and to the community. And so he was saying in the early 1900s, kind of the same thing, it does us no good to have more college educated people if these aren't going to be the college educated people that's going to come back to the community and use everything that they learned to lift their people up. If you're just going to go get educated and then go think that, right, and think that that's the epitome of success.
Send your kids to Montessori school.
Get you, what I'm saying, a melanin challenged person, you know what I'm saying, in a melanin challenged area.
Get a nanny. Got a nanny.
And you don't never go back. You know what I'm saying? And even, you know what I'm saying, even if you do, you know what I'm saying, stay outside, all right, that's fine. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not finna knock you for that. But at the same time, if you stay outside and don't never come back, that's the problem right there. If you feel uncomfortable being around your own, you know what I'm saying, because
what's that say?
And then also, my mom's a teacher. She's been a teacher, forever. And the one thing that I had to learn, and I believe Swizzy had asked me this question, when he was interviewed, when we were talking, just about how I learned. You're not really educated if you can't meet people where they're at. If you can't take this complicated message or whatever it is, or these complicated concepts, and present them in a manner, in a fashion that regular people can understand and comprehend, you're not really teaching or educating or anything or educating like that at all.
You've joined the elite, which is a separation.
And that's how I feel like you know, like a good teacher. Is the teacher is willing to put their message according to what the recipient needs to hear it to, according to. Most people, like, even like when we be talking about most like Black conscious events, like I'm like, the last people that need to be here is like people like you and I. Like, we already know all this stuff. Like, we could low key just go home. We need
church folks.
Exactly. We need every single day Black folks here. Like, she's happy here. We need to go over there and pick up some.
85%.
Getting all EE now.
Oh, my bad.
No.
But I mean, well, we need to go to the mall and pick up the every single day Black folks. We need to pick up the Black folks that's, going into the store to pick up an outfit for the weekend club. Like, we need every single day Black folks that literally care nothing about this world.
Well, see, that's all my people. So, I think that the weird thing is, we model ourselves after white people too much. We just do. And I don't even mean in the way that we feel like we have to, go work for them, push their brand, whatever. I mean, like, we literally model ourselves. That's a part of the habitual behavior patterns that we picked up since slavery. And that's why I believe, and I know others believe, that slavery is still here. People, I mean, we have these arguments and these discussions, and it sounds so like cliche, and it sounds like we've been talking about for years. But the truth of the matter is, if you have a problem and it's still here and it's been here for 100 years, 200 years, 250 years, 400 years, depending on what date you're going for, then that means that this problem is called cyclical. It's going in a circle. And that means that you is something that we're missing. And it's not something that we are seeing as new. It's something that we're ignoring that was happening before. And it's because we not reading or learning history. And I don't mean history like, oh, Martin Luther King, he had a dream, No, I'm not saying nothing against MLK. I'm saying we don't know. We haven't even talked to our mother, our grandparents, our great whatever to know how it was back then. I am one generation removed. My father went to Peck Elementary. He was one of the first to integrate. Peck is at MLK. Mm-hmm. Nobody would even think Peck Elementary on MLK. You talking about that hood? I'm just saying, OST, that was white. Right. You don't even know this. So then you moved in there, and some of us do. But the point is, it's a cycle, and we keep following it because we refuse to pick up stuff to learn about our own selves, and that's a self-hatred.
And I also think that another part that we refuse to acknowledge is that all white people are racist. In order for a system to have existed this long, they have to be in on it.
Yeah, of course.
So, like when the queen says, like, there's something that we keep missing. Like, I feel like what we keep missing is that we don't want to accept that the chick that you literally hung out on the playground, she's going off to live a life of full-fledged white supremacy. And no matter how close y'all were, she's not giving up her badge of privilege. That's the privilege. She's not giving it up. And I think that so many black people have a hard time digesting that. And I was even talking to a brother about it, and I'm like, whether conscious
them the ones that got educated.
Exactly.
I'm not gonna play. Let me
exactly.
I'm sorry, I don't have a problem.
Them the ones that
educated. They think they know something.
But and them the ones that also talk black, sleep white. Like, but nevertheless, you have. I say it to where whether or not the person, the European, is consciously aware that they're exercising the racism. That's not my point. I don't care. It doesn't matter at this point. We are grown. Like you said, black folks ain't reading. It's obvious. White folks not reading either.
Oh, yeah.
So, at this point, I'm not giving no empathy to anyone who might find themselves in a state of ignorance and their life carries it out according to such. Nah, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
But what we are acknowledging is just kind of like, all I always think to myself is when I be talking to black folks, it's like, so if everything is changing, why is it staying the same? Because change doesn't mean progress. Change just means change. You went from slavery to sharecropping to Jim Crow. Like, it's literally the same.
From water to ice to steam.
Different elements, different, exactly. So it's just kind of like, I think that's a big downer that most black people will not. Oh no, I refuse to believe that they are all racist. I know at least got to be 5 of them that's not racist. And of course, within reason. Like when when I say all white people are racist,
the pillar of salt. Don't look back. At least one, and we won't destroy it. You ain't gonna have it. I mean, racism can't exist like you're saying. That I agree, but I think with that acknowledgement, you have to realize something. If they all are racist, whether they consciously acknowledge it, why are we bothering to bother with it? Stop wasting your time going to them, asking. Learn this stuff yourself and do it yourself and create yourself and just do it. Like, and it doesn't have to be, why are we wasting, like, I'm not going to waste my time. And that's why I go back, you asking the question about the thing you're doing tomorrow. Shout out that the show you're doing tomorrow.
Yo, Lisa's Fragrances and such. Yes. Tomorrow, y'all go on my timeline and check out that video. Check out that post tomorrow from 12 to noon Eastern Standard Time. I will be on Blog Talk.
Eastern Standard Time.
Eastern
Standard Time.
Is that how I say it?
Yeah. I have to change my watch.
Eastern Standard Time. That's from 11 to noon in our Central Standard Time. That's from 11 to noon. But I will be discussing how pro-black does not mean anti-white. And this is what I told the queen. like she was like, Neith, I really want you to speak about this. I said, this is why most Europeans think pro-black is anti-white. Because when you got your red, black, and green, like when you got your hat on, wait a minute, I see the red, black, and green on the brother. Yeah. So that means he obviously knows about this person. When I see the ankh on the brother or the sister, then I immediately know this person knows their history, which means they know my history. And then if you know about yourself and you know about me, you couldn't possibly like me. And that's really the guilt that they feel. They feel like our pro-blackness.
I don't even really know that much. I don't even half the ones I know don't even know what don't even know what an ankh is.
Well, yeah, most black folks don't. And as a matter of fact, I had a little cup I used to carry at work. No black person asked me what it was on there. All of my white coworkers is like, "Hey, Miss Knight, isn't that Egyptian symbol?" I said, "No." This is a hummingbird. it was the winged disc of horse. I said, "That's a hummingbird." I'm thinking in my head, these folks know too much. Too much. But that's what it is. Like when I see someone who knows a lot of history about pro-blackism or knows a lot of African history, I immediately think to myself that this person knows what I've done as a European. They know about the land that I've taken. They know about the other races of people that I've plumaged. So if I were them, I wouldn't even like me. If I were them, I would consider myself a threat. So I feel like that thinking that we're anti-white is really that guilt.
Right. And that's a question I get a lot of times. Like, and it's a question that they've been asking people for a while. Well, when y'all get the power, what y'all gonna do? We ain't gonna worry about y'all like y'all worried about us. Like, we're not gonna be wasting time castrating y'all and playing with y'all wee-wees and stuff like that. That ain't what we do. You know what I'm saying? That ain't in our nature.
Nah, we just gonna vaccinate all y'all. Like, done.
Oh, man.
Everybody just goes on. You still work. You still, you can get married. We still go on. Like, we have a group of scientists that have handled this entire situation. Like, there's so many different mechanisms that you can employ.
Right. So then, let me ask you another question. Like, as it relates to those that are poor righteous teachers and those that put it all on the line for the people, there seems to be this perception that you can't lead to people, or not even lead, but be a part of the revolution and not have, be broke. You know what I'm saying? It's like you can't be a leader, be down with the cause, and have money. Like, you can't live nice, have nice things, or anything else like that. Like, where do you think that mentality comes from? That like you got to be like broke and poor in order to be, down with the struggle.
Mm-hmm. I think one of it is kind of like a guilt trip. Like, for example, when you see somebody who does have an immense amount of wealth. You remember at a time with Master P, like when he figured out how to maneuver his whole system, and he's talking about gold ceilings, and we're just kind of like watching this dude on MTV Cribs, like, yo. Like, when a brother like that goes and hand out turkeys and different things like that, it may appear like, well, you just come into the hood and you just about to go off to your house and go off into your regular life. So I feel like a lot of times black people, unfortunately, I don't want to even just say black people, maybe just people in general, like to give you a guilt trip, meaning if you're going to do something noble, if you're going to come to the hood to feed the hood, you need to live here. Don't just come to the hood and then feed us and then go off back to the suburbs where you live. And then it's also this mentality of, if I'm trying to give to the people, that means I give all, even what should be mine, which is not the case at all.
Speak on that.
Okay, so like, let's just talk about back when I was still a believer in Jesus Christ. Right. I would literally talk to people who say, I don't believe that you should tithe. Like, and I'd be like, so when you came in here and you had AC, and you had electricity, and you sat down in chairs, and they got you the paper, and you filled out the nonsense, so I guess you didn't fill it out. But when they provided the Bibles, did you think all of this was free? The pastor who devotes his entire life to pouring into you, he got a wife, he got kids. They don't need to eat nothing. So don't nobody need to get paid just because God is supposed to provide everything. Like, that's a real naive amount of thinking. Most black folks feel like The only money that you need to be keeping is the money that you need to pay your bills. Anything extra, if you want to give to your community, you need to give it away. Now, if you want to go off and be an entertainer, an athlete, well, you're not devoting your life to the cause. Therefore, you shouldn't have to give your whole money to the cause. So it's like an ignorance in the mindset. But the thing is, you even have black noblists, and that's what I call them. You feel like because you got this noble cause, because your cause is noble, because you want to save your race, or because you want to transform the black community, go off and live a black legacy. Right. You feel as if that means is that you gotta live in your car. That means like your kids gotta have hand-me-downs. And I was saying, I was explaining. So DJ Khaled get to go to hotels and live underwater and see and swim with dolphins and have his son and all types of taking his son to places that his son has seen more places in 1 year than people have seen their entire lives. So, and the only thing he doing is making money off of black folks. White man making money off of black folks. Taylor Swift, Ellen DeGeneres, Beyonce, all of these athletes, Gabrielle Union, why do people who just decide to entertain, why do people who decide to entertain deserve to have everything in the world, but then we, who literally are putting our lives on the line at any moment, it could be time's up for you.
Thanks.
At any moment, the person that you feel like is your friend could literally set up a whole meal, and this is your last meal. Why do you literally have to put your life on the line and be broke? Where you gonna move people into? Thanks. You trying to help out a community. You don't even got a 3-bedroom house, let alone a 6-bedroom house to house somebody who might not be on their feet. Come on now.
No, and I think that's kind of when you actually study, a lot of the different movements that we had, it was a lot of brothers and sisters with the right energy, but without the capital economics, to actually follow through with their plans, because like Joy's always talking, about setting a business plan, setting that up and everything like that. And you don't within the business plan, you don't get to the finances until, later, you start with your ideas and how you're going to lay it out and everything like that. But it still comes down to, that budget, you know what I'm saying, and how you actually going to make the dream, you have come into fruition. And so I think that's a critical step, that we actually have to start studying as it relates to economics. And I know, Joy, I know you love some economics, man.
That's what I studied, and I didn't do that as my first study. I have a comment on that though. I think some of the things that make people feel that way are also, again, habit. It's a lot of bad habits we gotta break as a community. A lot of them. But we can't be scared to step out and break those habits and live a new life, because we got to get in change. And so the whole thing is that we have been changed so long, we're so used to habits that we look at somebody who got something and what has been the habit of the person who has something. Let's look at it from two aspects. The first aspect is who used to be the only blacks who got something. Think about that.
Yeah, the house niggas.
There you go. The ones who was giving it by them for whooping us up, turning us in, and stabbing us behind our backs. Them the ones who had something. Number two, the other aspect is, okay, now let's come back to the future. Yeah, back to the future. Okay. When you look at the other aspect, because of that history, what have the majority of people who get something done when they get it? We just talked about it earlier. They take it to another community. They separate themselves. And it's not even something sometimes they're aware. Sometimes they're actively deciding to separate themselves. Other times it's because, hey, I got resources, and guess what? This community don't have what that I want to access. So where am I going to go? To the community with it. And so out of habit, I think that we have learned to separate ourselves, whether we're the person who doesn't have it, from people who do, out of habits of history. And so then once you get to a space where we are now, where you start getting, some blacks who have something, and they coming back or they looking. We are in a space where that actually is happening, I believe. When you start getting some of us who look back and say, hey, I got something. What am I going to do here to make this change? Now we've reached a new place where we have never been. So it's like, okay, we're going to try to take this money and we're going to try to reinvest it here. But I've never done this before. So how do we do this? And that's how we now got to train ourselves, because now we at the bottom of the business plan. We at the budget and we ain't never had one. So what are we going to do with it?
And, you know, I also think that, you know, when we consider the black folks who probably do want to move back to the hood, but the mentality of the black folks are sick. So sometimes, I remember, for Hurricane Harvey, remember we're all meeting at the parking lot, and Malik was like, so tomorrow when we come out here, make sure y'all have all of y'all stuff in y'all's trunk. Don't have nothing out in the car. And he made a comment, you know, even though we helping our people still sick. Because one time before, one of the brothers had got their laptop stole out the car. So, you know, and that's a real fact. And I'm low-key childish. Sometimes when my friends be like, somebody just broke into my car on Facebook, I be like, girl, where? Where? So I know.
With the face.
What area was this in? So I can know not to go to that area. But I think that, and that's that. Furthermore, it always comes back to resources, economics with me. And that's why I do take so much pride in balancing more yet in Tesla's designs, because even with the Blackest Truth, I'm not so naive to believe that me sitting behind a computer and doing occasional lectures or in the future or here traveling is going to literally build a nation, an industry. That's not happening. You know, Gaddafi was able to do a lot of the moves that he had made a lot because of the business that he had already established for years prior to, you know, sticky fingers, all of that. But he was already a businessman prior to gaining that access to move on that power. So when I be thinking about the revolution always goes hand in hand with hustling to me. So, you know, if even if that hustling comes down to what's the face? You would have the mafia. And the mafia was a huge source for the Italians at one point to get their entire community turned around. I'm not one of them people that oh, the brother is doing this, the sister is selling this. Look.
They say they're coming up.
Yeah, in a revolution, you employ the mechanisms that are needed to win.
Thanks.
That's, you employ what is needed to do. And that's why I even feel like you don't even bring a lot of the black people to the table. Oh, yeah. A lot of the black people won't even have a mindset.
Everybody ain't gonna make the vote.
Yeah, there's decisions that you leave a lot of the people out on just because of not understanding. So I think that when I say the economics part, a large part of the healing process in the black community also needs to be finding a way to reconstruct the mind. It's to re-heal the mind, because we can come back to the hood and we can build these places. But we even saw it when we was doing the cleanup. You had one of the black women cursing us out as we clean it. I don't know why y'all da-da-da-da here, da-da-da-da here, da-da-da-da, you know. And that's the condition. That's the condition of the people. So unless, you know, alongside our economics, alongside of our cleaning up, we also got a team that's working on how to reprogram the mind. That's a really big thing, because the people are still sick.
Oh yeah.
We're going to Ayana Van Zandt, all of them. Okay.
I love me some of y'all. I'm serious. I know shade on Ayana. Fix me, girl, please.
I'm sorry, I've been recently.
Girl, follow me into the room when I go off the train. Follow me, girl. Follow me. I need help.
She be going in.
I need help.
I'm just saying,
Y'all grab your hands.
We need about 10 of them, you know what I'm saying? Let them loose on the street. I'm sorry.
No, high key. Okay. High key. Have every yellow Van Zants on the corner. Black folks need help. We need have it in the corner store in the back by the time slide. Have about a slide.
You can see her swallow herself and address people too. I love it. That's real. That's that mental health stuff.
We're finna get down to get into
shout out
break, you know what I'm saying? We got shout outs.
Yeah. That was this whole thing of freestyle session.
Yeah.
We spit it.
We're breaking the formats, man. Yeah. Well, man, it's been entertaining and enlightening. conversation, as always it is with Sister Neith, you know. So we always talk. So that it
she
really
don't know
ain't
it yet,
fair,
but she's a rotating, contributing host.
We getting the end, man.
I love the energy, y'all, always.
Sister Neith, man, you got anything coming up? I know you promote the show again tomorrow, but any other events, projects, anything like that that you want to let the people know about so that we can support?
Yeah, show coming up tomorrow. Be sure to look on my timeline. Also, the Black Builders Mixer. I will be knocking out the second annual before the summer is out. Be on the lookout for that this Saturday. I have a Juneteenth event. Be on the lookout for that on my timeline. And just again, if y'all don't see me as far as the Blackest Truth making videos every single weekend like before, it's because I'm on this economics tip, y'all, for sure. We building our brand, but we also building the community, and we coming up with a real strategy.
Most definitely. Sister Joy, man, you got somebody you want to shout out?
I just shout out everybody. I just love that everybody is on here and everybody is pushing us, because that's how we move forward, is when we step out, we stop, we overcome the fear, we overcome whatever mental health habits we done picked up from being stepped on and being having our face pressed into the ground for so long. We lift each other up by supporting each other. And I just shout out to everybody who's listening. We love you, everybody who's been in here supporting. And let's just keep going. Let's just keep supporting each other. If you don't like something, let us know. I'm not scared. I will be here. Yeah. And you can always find us right here. And we just really appreciate it. That's all it is.
Most definitely. I definitely got to give a special shout out. Y'all see the shirt, man, to the Melanated Men of Action. There's some real brothers, out there putting in work in the streets. Also shout out to the Blacklist Association. There's an event coming up on July the 7th at the Shrine of the Black Madonna. It's going to be in culmination with the Bob Black Market that happens every Saturday. We're doing our annual Youth Economics Day. You can go check out the Blacklist Association on Facebook. We still have a few slots left in the 15 to 18 crowd. We're just going to be out there educating the youth on economics, giving them a culture and history lesson, and also, putting them in contact with other business owners, to try to spark that idea. Shout out to one of our youths that attended our economics seminar last year and ended up being one of the vendors at the Bob Black Market after attending the event. And so, we're just trying to keep inspiring those that are next up. We just want to make sure y'all check us out again at weareA1.com. Go subscribe. Go get on. Make sure you follow us. Follow us on Facebook, on Action One Media Group. Follow me, Atum Ra, Melanated and Illuminated. Follow Sister Neith, The Blackest Truth, on YouTube, Melanated and Illuminated, Under Construction. Shout out to the Bridge of Light. And always, show us love. Man, we out, man. Appreciate y'all. Dragon Energy.
Get in the action.
Action One, inspiring that.
Yeah.
Atum Ra, you tuned in to Action One Network.